Well, I think we're about ready to go. Thank you guys for joining. I'm Jason with AVPro. I'm here with Jim Burns, our training director, and we are going to meet with you guys today to talk about some really cool new products. We got on the 8K stuff right away, even before it was a thing, and we're just continuing along with the 8K line. And we're trying to make some products for you guys that are going to carry you into the future. So thank you again for joining. I've got a chat box here. If you guys have questions, feel free. We'll do our best to answer the questions as we go along, and there will definitely be some time at the end if we miss any questions along the way. So with that being said, Jim, it's all you, buddy.
All right, thanks, Jason. And please, at any time, feel free to ask a question. We'll try and get to it right away, and it's better answering it right when we get to it. All right, so let's start the presentation. So at AVPro, we don't sell pieces of the integration puzzle. We sell the solution. So the products we're going to talk about today solve issues, and I've got 4 examples of some of the issues that they solve right up here on the screen right now. And we're going to start with this. What if you need to show the same image on multiple displays with different resolutions? You're going to need some type of video distribution amplifier. What if you installed an 8K TV with a 4K AVR? In that particular instance, you might have 8K signals. You're not going to get audio through that AVR if it's a 8K or even a 4K signal with a 1080p AVR, because the AVR won't recognize the signal because it's over res. It was designed before that was a standard and before that 4 or 8K was a possibility. So you're not going to get audio through it. The proper DA, which is what we're going to talk about today, will solve that problem. What if you need to show the same image on a few 4K TVs, but some of them are over 2 years old? This is something we're going to jump into today too. 4K TVs are not all equal. 4K is, talks about the number of pixels on the screen, but the resolution comes from the signal. And the signal with HDMI has changed quite a bit since 2017 when 4K TVs first came out. Now, what if you just want a system design that's going to last more than a couple of years? If that's the case, you're going to want a DA that is up to the current spec and able to do everything that the future holds. And that's going to be an 8K 48 gigabit per second HDMI 2.1B distribution amplifier. We are debuting 3 today. They are the AC DA-X2. Now the 1 talks about the input, the 2 talks about the outputs. The X2 is saying it's 2nd generation. It's a full HDMI 2.1 system. We have the ACDA 1.4 generation 2. That's a 1 input, 4 output. And we have the ACDA 1.8 generation 2. That is a 1 input, 8 output. Let's take a close look at the front panels of these units. So a lot of DAs in the market are really black boxes with a couple HDMI inputs in the back. An HDMI input in the back and multiple HDMI outputs. That's it. You don't have any adjustments or any ability to do anything else with it. We give you the ability to do scaling, to choose what audio that you want, to take the audio off the HDMI and output analog. We also allow you to scale on the various outputs. And now, with the way technology has changed and the differences in 4K, you can decide what fixed rate link you need to set it at. If in some case you need to do that. We will talk about that in some detail further on. Okay, so here we are, the 1x2, the 1x4, and the 1x8, all Gen 2 distribution amplifiers. And here's the front panel that I was talking about. This makes much more sense when you can see it. So we have the buttons. We can do all of our navigation and setup here. We also have HDMI activity lights, and I love this feature on here because at a quick glance, you can see what inputs are hot, what outputs are hot. So you can see real quick if you have a source issue or if you have a sync issue being a display. A cable's disconnected, something's not even on. 90% of the time when you use these DAs, you're going to plug into the back of the unit, your input and your output, and it's just flat out going to work. What we're going to talk about here is the specialty cases when you need to do something by mixing resolutions, mixing a couple different types of 4K, being a high bandwidth and a low bandwidth 4K, and what you're going to need to do to get extracted audio out. But most of the time, it's set and forget. So here we have the back of the units, and very simple, our HDMI ins and our HDMI outs. We have a toslink out and an analog audio out, as well as our power in. Okay, now obviously the big feature here is these are 8K 48 gigabit distribution amplifiers. 8K in itself in the market right now is quite frankly not a big deal whatsoever. Unless you're doing your own photo thing or you're producing your own high-end video, you're not likely to actually have a lot of choices for 8K. However, in that standard, and we'll talk about this, the 48 gigabit portion is important because you can run 4K signals up at 48 gigabits with high frame rates, high dynamic range, and you will get more resolution, more colors. So really, we need to talk about this for computers and the different types of 4K that are there right now. Downscaling is an option. We will talk about that, and this is when you're going to mix displays of different resolutions. You don't need to make a compromise and pick the lowest resolution of a display. You can pick the resolution of the display based on the output. We have extracted audio, which we'll get into also, and then the downgradable fixed rate link. So we can adjust the fixed rate link between the 6 levels that exist with HDMI 2.1. We'll have some graphs and talk about that in a little bit. The front panel control is also very nice. We do have USB control through Windows. And of course, because it's an AVPro product, we have extended EDID management. That is a feature we pioneered in the market and we continue to lead with. Okay, so why do we care about 8K distribution right now? Obviously 8K displays. If you're putting in an 8K display or an 8K capable switch or AVR and you need to distribute that signal, you should put in an 8K distribution amplifier. And I mentioned all 4K signals are not created equal. You can take great advantage of this and use the capabilities of this DA right now with many 4K signals. And it is a future-looking product. We have an AVPro 10-year no BS warranty. This product is designed to last for 10 years. So you're putting this in a system where you know they're going to have upgrades. It's a commercial install where it's going to be bring your own device. It's a residential. You don't know what's going to show up there. You need to be prepared for anything. This DA will be prepared for anything. You're putting it in a home where they have a large 8K TV, even though they don't have any 8K sources right now. The holidays come up, new gaming comes out. It is possible your customer is going to go plug something in without you being there. And when they say it doesn't work, you want to go back and say, oh, well, I only gave you a 4K DA for your 8K display. Put the 8K in now. Because it's 8K and it is full HDMI 2.1, you'll have greater system stability for all HDMI. Right now, gaming with higher frame rates off of computers and upcoming consoles from the large manufacturers, they're going to be 120 hertz and higher. You're going to need HDMI 2.1 for that. Same thing with computer capability, and we already talked about photos and videos. HDR signals and HDR displays also take much higher bandwidth signals and can take great advantage of that 48 kilobit bit rate. I'm sorry, 48 gigabit bit rate. So 8K and 4K HDMI 2.1 goes up to 48 gigabits per second. When you have more bandwidth in your original signal, your signal is where the real resolution of the picture comes from, you end up with a better looking picture. More motion resolution, higher frame rates, smoother motion, more accurate colors, more colors. If we take a look at the little chart to the side, 8-bit, we go from 16 million colors, 10-bit, just over 1 billion colors, 12-bit, 68 billion colors. Where this shows up is when you see sunsets and blue skies. You may see what I call gradient lines. You're going to see the differences between when the shades of blue change. As you go from 8-bit to 10-bit to 12-bit, those transitions, which we call small edge transitions, get much smoother. They look much more natural. Plus, you're able to reproduce more colors, which makes the image just flat out look more natural. And built into the HDMI 2.1 standard, there's some automatic gaming features, which equate to less lag for gaming. This DA will allow all that to pass. So let's talk about our 4K signals and how not all 4K signals are equal. Like I said, resolution comes from the source signal. And if we take a look at this chart for HDMI 2.1, these are our fixed rate links for data. We have 9 gigabit, 18 gigabit, 24 gigabit, 32, 40 gigabit, and 48 gigabit bandwidths. Each one of those 6 has a 4K format. And it will be possible, since HDMI came out with a 4K standard in 2017, that you can have a 4K television that will just be able to take a 9 gigabit signal hooked up to a DA with a new television set that can take a 32 or 40 gigabit signal. If that's the case, just like hooking up a 4K TV on a DA with a 1080p TV, HDMI and the EDIT is going to negotiate down to 1080p. So you're going to end up with a softer, fuzzier image on that 4K TV to accommodate getting a picture on the 1080p. The same thing happens here with the different fixed rate links for 4K. So it'll negotiate down to the lowest common denominator. So you can take a brand new television set and you're going to lower the resolution, lower the color space, and end up with slower frame rates, so jerkier motion, less detail on that motion, unless there's a way for you to adjust on a per output basis, and that's what we can do. If that's the case and you're mixing your different types of 4K together and you see any issues with fuzziness on a TV, or you don't have a picture on the lower end, the older TV with the lower fixed rate link, you can, on a per output basis, adjust the fixed rate link so you'll get the best picture on the high res TV and the high bandwidth TV, and a good picture and a solid picture on the lower bandwidth television. That is adjustable through the front panel of our units. And again, you can do this through Windows and a PC also. All right, and I mentioned this earlier, a feature you're probably familiar with is the built-in downscaling. So different TVs with one source, we can take off these DAs and we can mix 8K, 4K, and 1080p TVs all off the same distribution, or other resolutions too. Where this is likely to happen is a couple displays in a boardroom, maybe there's a projector in the boardroom. Not an issue whatsoever. We can adjust each output to the proper resolution for that display. So we can take 8K and down res it to 4K, or we can take 8K, down res it to 1080p, or 4K and down res that to 1080p. This also works really well and is important when you have an older AVR in the system. And we'll show you a diagram on that and a connection diagram in a bit. So let's talk about the audio on the back. So we have extracted audio. So what that means is we can take the audio that's encoded on the HDMI and we can output that to our Toslink, including 7-channel PCM, Dolby Digital, Digital Plus, DTS, DTS-MA. And if there's 2-channel encoded is all that's there, that will also come out on the Toslink. This unit does not have audio downmixing. So audio downmixing is taking 5 or 8 channels and downmixing that to 2-channel stereo. We do have units that do that separately. That is not built into this unit, but there is an analog out that is 2-channel only. So if you need to use that, you need to do 2 things. You can set the EDID for your input to say that, hey, I would like a 2-channel audio source. So as long as on that HDMI stream, there is a 2-channel audio source encoded there, and on almost everything there is, even with the 5 and 8-channel surround formats, it will say, okay, great, and it will only give you that 2-channel audio format, and that will output through the analog outputs. All right, let's talk about some applications. So this has a very small size and form factor, easily mounted behind a television set. And like I say, with those lights in the front, it's really easy to see the status of what HDMI signals are hot or not, in case you have a case where you don't have a picture. There is not any control on here, an API. This is a set and forget unit. Like I said, 90% of the time, you're going to plug it in, it's going to work, and you're going to walk away. So basic application right here. Here we have a boardroom with a bring your own device type of situation. And we have a couple different, we have one source and we have a couple different displays in this room, or maybe moving it around to a couple different areas. Really simple, 1 input, 4 output in this particular case. Excuse me, fighting off a cold. Now, AVR bypass, this is a great solution when you need to get audio into something that isn't 4K or 8K. And that's a lot of audio systems out there will only take 1080p, AVRs, and a lot of commercial sources too. So what you can do is just take your input HDMI source into the DA, one HDMI out directly to your source, be it 4 or 8K, whatever it is, just let that pass through. That's going to work great. Then on your second output, in this particular case, it's output number 2. We're going to set that through the front panel or through Windows to 1080p. Once it's at 1080p, we have a smaller video signal, which we don't care about because we're not going to use it, but we are going to take that unimpeded, uncompressed, untouched audio that's coming directly from your source, and we're going to pass that off to the AVR. This will allow the AVR to recognize the audio signal once it has a video portion of that HDMI that does work with that AVR or whatever that audio input is. This is a great solution, and a lot of our customers use it. It's very helpful. Okay, we're pretty much moving on. Have we any questions pop up yet?
I think one actually just came in. Give me just a moment. Let me pull it up. It actually may have been a comment from before. Stand by. Okay, that was from before. Game on.
All right. So I would like to remind you at this point in time, if we don't have any questions, that we have a 10-year no BS warranty. If the unit stops working for any reason, we will send you a new unit. That's as simple as it gets. And given that this unit is an HDMI 2.1 8K unit, this is a great place to look forward to that 10-year warranty and use this product for 10 years. It's going to have long legs once you put it in. So just to recap real quick, we have our AC DA 1x2, our 1x4, and our 1x8, all Gen 2. And since this is 8K 48 gigabit ultra high speed, let's talk about interconnects. If you need some good interconnects to go with these DAs, don't forget about our premium bullet train cables. They are 48 gigabits and 8K. And we know that we are because we build the test equipment that a lot of manufacturers use to test their cables, and we use to test ours. We do have a smaller version of that for use in the field called the Fox and Hound. If you don't know what's wrong with your HDMI signal path, our Fox and Hound will find out for you. Also works great for testing cables. You can test your entire system all the way through the chain, emulate your source, and emulate your sink, which is your display. So if you have any questions about that or any questions about anything else, don't hesitate to give us a call. We have a ton of different application solutions. Our line is very broad and very deep. No need guessing what you need. Feel free to give us a call. Tell us what your problem is. We're going to suggest a solution. We have application engineers on staff ready to talk to you. So just let us know. If we don't have any further questions, I'm going to say I appreciate you showing up today and hope you learned a little bit.
Cool. So there are 2 questions that came in, one from James. He said, can you use any of these devices as a way to extract audio from an Apple TV to a secondary zone?
Yes, absolutely. With the Toslink, you can take the full surround out through that Toslink to a second zone. If you need to take 2-channel out, not a problem whatsoever, but you are going to have to set the EDID for 2-channel, and your Apple TV is going to send 2-channel to the analog out.
Yeah, he added a little bit more details here. He says, more importantly, feed the analog output to an input on a triad matrix. Yeah, of course. Yep, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Glenn asks, where can our dealers get the dongle to add voltage to our AOC cables? That's an awesome question. This is something that we've been really harping on in the past probably couple of years. Sometimes you get these really long cables, and remember the DDC channel, all the EDID information, all the HDCP information is still on a piece of copper. So there are some times where if the cable is really long that we need to inject some more power down that cable. So for those of you who are using those AOC cables, if you do need any of those power injectors, give us a call. Tell us how many you need. We'll ship them right out to you. No problem. And then Sammy says, do we have pricing yet?
We do, Sammy. These are going to be releasing in about 30 days. So in the next little bit, we will have pricing coming out. We will announce it on our website, and we will send out email blast about it too.
Cool. And then James had a James had a follow-up question about the 2-channel thing. He says, will that affect the audio format in the surround zone by changing the EDID?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yeah. So
yep. It doesn't down mix, right? You can only pull out 2-channel audio over analog or toslink.
Correct. And if that's the case, we do have ADMs for audio down mixing.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, use the AVDM. Yep.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure you bought the DA that had an extra output, and you would plug that ADM into that extra output at that point in time.
No problem. Easy peasy. Well, guys, that looks like that's all the questions. Again, thanks for hanging out. We're going to put this up on YouTube probably later today. So if you had any colleagues or friends who couldn't make the live session, we'll have it up on YouTube. And Jim, that's all I got, man. Everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out.
Yep, and we will have some new product announcements next week too. So stay tuned, and we'll get to that on Monday and tell you what that is. All right,
Awesome.
We'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.